Hi all, it's Ali Abel here and I'm so excited to share Retire Talk. It's a podcast discussing all things RV. Each week I will deliver enlightening and uplifting conversations with industry colleagues and experts in the area of market research, marketing, project sales and marketing, village management and much, much more. I hope you'll join me. Well, hi all, it's Ali Abel for another week of Retire Talk, and I'm super excited to be speaking to good friend, colleague, and more importantly, the founder of Marketability, David Lo Russo. David, welcome.
Thank you, Ali. It's quite an honour.
Now, I'm not sure how this is going to go today. Normally when you and I get on a call together, it can go off tangent pretty quickly. So there's just a warning for anyone that's listening today. But look, David, I just wanted to find out, you've got quite a unique story in regards to how Marketability started and how you founded it. Can you just share that with us today?
Yeah, Ali, thank you. It was actually by accident. It was a long time ago. I often say it was last century. We founded it in 1999. I was at AGL for almost a decade. I was a national marketing manager there. And I really was fast-tracked for general management, but I had to decide whether I was going to be an energy person or do my own thing. I always wanted to do my own thing. So I left actually to start a sports management business. Yeah, true Jerry Maguire story. Unfortunately, realised after about 6 months that it wasn't going to be paying the bills. I had to find a way to pay the bills. And Marketability emerged from there, where I was consulting to clients with some of my skills. And one of my foundation clients was Stocklands, and they introduced us along this path.
Can you tell us a little bit about that first project with Stocklands? Was it research?
It was research, and it was actually through a contact that I'd met at Integral Energy. So she had moved from Integral Energy to Stocklands, and I think it was the power of referral. It's such a really important thing from the very beginning. So we did some research work on that project, and then I remember being introduced to their head office, and they had 70 of their residential projects listed, and the top 10, they said they wanted to get into retirement living. And when we realised the demographics and the future projections of that, it was something that we wanted to be a part of.
So a new direction for Marketability emerged at that time?
It did.
Well, look, one of the things I know we as a team have worked really hard on over the last couple of months in particular is really concreting the values of Marketability, and you've really led that whole process. Can you walk me through what those values are and what they mean to not only you, but I guess the Marketability team as a whole?
Values are so important. To be value aligned with your clients, with the people that you work with, is critical for success. And as you know, our values have been recently re-energised, I would say. We have 5, and they reflect, I suppose, all the personality of all of us, really. The first one really is being refreshingly authentic. It's really important in our business that we are honest and transparent. The truth does set you free, I keep on saying. My mum told me that one too. The second sort of value for us is lifetime learning and striving for excellence. You can never stop learning and having a growth mindset, not accepting the status quo, always seeking opportunities to learn and grow is something that we're embedding into our business. The third thing the third value that we espouse to is collaborative innovation. And we love to work together as one team with our clients, walk alongside them, challenge the problem, and seek to inspire innovation. If you're not innovating, you've been left behind. A fourth value, which is really dear to me, I think, is being bravely resilient. We lean into challenges with a tough mind and a tender heart. We scrap, we bounce back, we adapt, resolute in our purpose, because we all have hardship, and in our game we do have lots. So that's really important value for us. The last value, which is what we're here for, is really being customer champions. We advocate for our customers all the way from the very beginning of the research process to the very front line. We have that independent voice of the customer right in the middle. And a lot of people have that as part of their values, but being a champion of customers and sticking up for them in front of your clients is really, really important to us.
Can you give me a practical example maybe of how that customer champion's played out for the Marketability team?
Really, really important. Often in our game, we have construction delays, as you know. And that has implications on customers in terms of their moving costs, removalist costs. So particularly when you are telling customers to put their houses on the market and then moving the goalpost on them in the future, through no one's fault. It's just the way construction challenges work and delays. But sticking up for them and having a policy to compensate for them was something that we're proud of doing, and proud of with the clients that we work with, them responding to it and sharing that value. So that's just a practical example.
And how have you found that, say, a customer has responded to that type of process with that customer champion role or value being put in place?
I think a lot of the clients that we represent, and some of them are for-purpose or not-for-profit operators, they had the heart for it, but often they don't know how to implement it. So I think what we found is that most of our clients believe in the same value, but they just don't know how to execute. So we've been lucky to have great people like yourself in our business that can advise our clients on how best to do that. And it's so exciting to get the benefit from that in terms of residents saying how great that was, or like having a process where we can help them with their moving in is really heartening, because that's what it's really about.
I know one of the lovely things for the team this week was getting a beautiful email from two of our residents, Robin and Gay, without giving out too much detail there, just of them sitting on their beautiful west-facing terrace, having a nice cocktail one evening this week on a project that we'd recently finished. So that was really lovely. But look, I think out of all of those values, which really strong, the two that really have resonated with me have been lifelong learners and not accepting the status quo, because I think you're right. If we accept the status quo, or we're not looking at ways of how we can do things better consistently, then we are going to be left behind. And I think, for our customers, both on the purchaser front, but also our customers, it's such an important part. The other one that I really love and sits very strongly with me is being bravely resilient. And I think anyone listening today can probably really relate to that, particularly in this last 18 months with COVID. And it's certainly thrown a lot of challenges our way. But how have you really kept the team engaged over the COVID period?
We've had to think outside the box sometimes, and when we're all having to be in a lockdown situation, well, how do we get together? We actually have really enjoyed getting together face to face, but we had something planned, and I believe the lockdown happened, the day before. One of the things that we have done this lockdown is organise a virtual gin tasting with the team, which was an outstanding success. I'm not sure that we're going to have any gin connoisseurs, but I think everyone really enjoyed the company. And I think more importantly, having someone take you through that tasting, but also having the opportunity to share some downtime with your colleagues was through that virtual platform was fantastic. That was one example that we had. Did you enjoy yourself there, Alec?
Absolutely loved it, and really looking forward to the team virtual trivia night that we're doing in a couple of weeks as well. So, no, you're right. It has been a great way to really engage in a completely different way with the team. But look, just changing direction slightly, I hear you say all the time in conversation that you don't want marketability to be the biggest, but you do want it to be the best. So what does that mean to you?
Well, being the best, and obviously when you've been in the company for 22 years, you have different paths that you can take. There was a few years ago when we were doing our business plan, and when we realised that what was really, really important to our purpose and the vision of the business was that we wanted to be the finest, a bit like the Penfold Grange. We didn't necessarily want to be everywhere, because if we were everywhere or the biggest, I think we'd lose a little bit of things that are really, really important to us. Staying close to our customers, providing an exceptional outcome. That was really, really important to us. And being the best means you've got to work hard at being the best. As you said, constantly innovating and thinking of how you can outperform the market and your competitors. So that was important for us. It was more about quality, not quantity, more about intimacy, not intimidation.
I like that. Tell me about the key areas of business with marketability. I know a lot of people probably know that there is research, because you've got quite a large research side of the business, but tell us the three key areas.
I see them as two divisions, really, two interrelated parts of our business. We have the research and advisory part of our business, and increasingly clients are asking us for our advice. And because we specialise in this sector, we'll be able to provide them a lot of sound advice based on experience that we've gleaned over the years. So there's a research and advisory, and we're really there to provide our clients unique insights into their markets, their competitors, and ultimately their customers, not only now but in the future. Our developments that we're advising on have a lifespan of 20, 30, 40 years. So it's really important that we're not only looking at current day retiree, but the future day retiree. So that's really critical. And the second part of our business is our project sales and marketing business. And I say that we're integrated because obviously sales and marketing has to be integrated. We have a professional, proven, performing team that we specialise in selling off the plan. Seniors living to average age of people that are 70 to 75 years of age. What a privilege that is that we've been able to do that.
Would you say that it works best when an organisation basically recruits Marketability for its services across the two key areas of business, so research and then into the sales and marketing? Do you find that will deliver a better outcome for them?
Most definitely. And obviously the clients that have been able to provide both parts of the business have got the benefit of it. Because as you know, we have cross-pollination of our ideas between the project sales and marketing team and the research and advisory team, and we both benefit from that. But more importantly, we've got proven professionals in those streams that represent their craft and represent the views. And most importantly, we have customers right at the centre of our focus, which is really critical.
How have you seen the business grow over the last few years in particular?
Look, obviously over the last 3 years, the business has doubled financially. It's been fantastic. We've evolved and matured as well in how we present ourselves in the industry. I think I've been encouraged by my team to get out there a little bit more and market us. A bit of a reluctant on that, but I've been encouraged to share our story more in the public domain. But perhaps the most satisfying part has been the personal growth of our team members, particularly over this last 18 months. The way each one of our team has faced the challenges of the day, that they have been bravely resilient, that they have stepped up, leaned in and shouldered on. And, over the last few years, we've smashed records, sales and marketing records, and we've won national awards, but we've grown better together. So I'm really, really proud of that. It hasn't always been easy. We've had our tough days, our bad hair days as well, but we've all benefited from feeling that we're part of a bigger purpose.
I think one of the things that really talks to the strength of a organisation or company culture is the tenure of the staff. And I think we were only talking a couple of months ago that on average, most of our staff have now been with Marketability for 6 to 8 years, which shows a lot of strength in the services that are provided, but also the strength of the team working on a day-to-day basis. David, tell me a little bit about why retirement village operators contact you initially.
I'd like to think that they contact us because they want to be served by the very best. And they've probably had some referral or that they've known about it, what we do and who we represent. So that's probably the reason why. But often it's really because they have either a new greenfield or brownfield site that they need to develop. They may have purchased a piece of land, been gifted a piece of land, and they want to understand what that market opportunity is for them. So that's initially why people come to us, and they want to understand how they can serve their customers in the community. So that's really, really, really important. Often, sometimes clients choose us because they just don't have those specialist skills and expertise in-house. And we are there to mitigate their market risk and offer them really an experienced pair of hands. And, one of our things is because we've done this in different markets, that we have a path to project success. We understand what are the risks and we're able to identify and mitigate them.
I think you're right. I think, having the process that we follow across all of our sites is really key and critical. So tell me, why do you do what you do?
I often get asked that question. In other ways, I wonder what I would do if I did not have to lead Marketability. But then I keep on getting reminded, my wife obviously reminds me of the wonderful privilege we have to serve our customers at this point in time of their life, and the privilege it is, or a special time of life. And when you get to meet them at the information sessions, and when they get to introduce you and have cups of coffee in their new home, and they say to you, we should have done this 5 years ago, and I'm having the time of my life, or like Gay and Robin having, 5 o'clock sunset drinks and cocktails on their balcony. Well, that's the reason why. And I get energized by that next challenge or that next horizon. And I'm really proud of also seeing now people grow professionally and personally. Look at you. You're a superstar.
Not about me today, but how do you recharge? You are pretty full on 95% of the time. How does David Lo Russo recharge?
Well, my exercise is important. My boxing classes are really, really important to me. Let's the steam out. I do that 3 times a week. I really enjoy that. I love entertaining. I love sport. I love any sort of sport, documentary, and really meaningful movies. There was a really great one recently called Worth by Michael Keaton. I'd recommend it on Netflix. It's really about this attorney that was charged with a role deciding how much each life was worth for the victims of 9/11. Fascinating.
Well, I've got to admit, I did start to watch that last night, and the quote that really stood out to me was when Michael Keaton says, I should throw out the formula because it's not perfect, and the father says, because it's not just. And I thought, wow, we can really bring that to what we do in our roles every single day. But totally agree with you. I'm only halfway through it, but what a fantastic movie. So what was it again?
Worth.
On Netflix.
By Michael Keaton. I think it's on Netflix. I really enjoyed it. And I was the only one in my family that saw it. But yeah, it's a fascinating premise. What is a life worth? Is a cleaner or a CEO worth any different? Well, obviously, if you're talking about dispensing compensation, the formula is all about income. So it was on so many levels, it actually gets you to think.
Very emotive and very emotional, but highly recommend. Look, we've all got a mentor, someone who's really impacted our direction and career. Who would you say, and it can be more than one, who would you say that person has been for you?
I have a few, but my wife has been my best counsellor throughout my working career. She is the HR director or the CPO of Foxtel, Chief People Officer. She's extraordinarily wise. She's honest and she's gorgeous, but she's also a very gracious woman. So she's provided me infinite counsel, and obviously being a part of her craft of developing people and managing that. So she can be a little bit honest, and authentic is a word that she keeps on using, but I think that's helpful for me. Another mentor of mine is a person by the name of Bob Bucknell. He was a CEO and a retired chartered accountant who retired in his 50s. He's a lot older than that, but he's been enormously beneficial as a business mentor and helping us navigate that marketability path. And it's been good to have someone outside of the day-to-day to advise on that, and it's something that he did in his career. So he's been great.
Such an important part to have such great mentors that you can talk to on a daily basis. And I think both you and I are very lucky to have partners that bring us back down to earth on a daily basis, because we can tend to get a little bit crazy, can't we?
We can.
Well, look, I've never known someone, and it's a bit of a joke within our team, to have so much resilience as you do. You are on that phone every single day. Sometimes the phone gets put down, but you never give up. Where does that sense of resilience come from?
Look, Elliot, there's no choice. I was the youngest of 3 boys. We're an Australian family with Italian history, and I was the youngest of all my cousins. I was the youngest of all my mates at school. So you know what? If I needed to have a say, I had to fight and scrap all the way. It was part of the way. I didn't know any other way. Taught to work hard by my mum and dad. Strive to be the best. That was really, really important. You reap what you sow was also important. So in the end, if you get knocked down one day, my mum would say, pick yourself up and try that next day. And it's kind of been with me all my life.
A mother's wise words, never forgotten. But I have to say that you have really taught me the power of resilience and never giving up. What would you say one of the biggest challenges facing you right now in the business, and how are you best overcoming it?
It's an interesting one. One of the big challenges our industry has, and our business, is the lack of quality stock over this next decade in retirement living in particular. We have millions of baby boomers that are planning to downsize, but unfortunately, construction delays, feasibilities meant that we haven't got that pipeline. So, but we're busy encouraging operators to dust off their plans and develop and share the positive stories within the industry. I think that's really, really important. And we're seeing a lot more developments that are in the pipeline, particularly in the metro cities of Australia, because certainly, as we know, it's a fantastic product that baby boomers love. The other thing that's really come out of, I think, post-COVID and post the Aged Care Commission is this challenge of integrating care and lifestyle into the service offering. And a lot of our clients offer retirement living, care and home care, but how they integrate that as a package and present that as a package is going to be an increasing challenge. And we hope to be part of that solution.
We're starting to see some really, unique offerings when it comes to financial offerings with DMFs and, as you said, the ongoing care. And such an important part, isn't it, to have those conversations with the operators and really try to guide them on what the options are that are available to make them more competitive.
What are available, what could be competitive, and really importantly, how they navigate between different state and federal legislations of how they represent those areas. So that's really critical. But one thing is for sure, over the next 5 years, there's going to be a lot more home care packages, and retirement villages are uniquely placed to be able to deliver them. So whether they do that in-house or through a strategic alliance of a home care operator, that's going to be critical, because we know that when people move into retirement living, they're not necessarily thinking of care, but they do need that as part of their time, and to have those services laid out and an offering that's attractive for people is really, really important.
I think, was it at the last Property Council breakfast where they did a survey of retirement villages and aged care? I think they were saying, as part of that sample survey, there was only 37% of villages which actually offered a continuum of care, which was really alarming and surprising to me.
Yeah, that is alarming. I think the number was actually 30 or 31%, even lower. But you would survey those people, and I reckon 90 to 100% would want it. It's just how they would like to see it. Is it within their own building, which we're seeing in some developments? Is it right next door? It's what we call co-located. Or do they want it around the corner? But they certainly would like to have access to those services if and when they need them. And I think that's really critical. So any retirement village operator needs to consider how they integrate care into their offering. There's no doubt. It's a really important part of the proposition.
Couldn't agree more. Tell me a little bit about what you believe is the most misunderstood part of the marketability business.
Yeah, look, I think it's a misconception that people feel that they may not be able to afford us, whether it's, a research or a project sales and marketing opportunity. I suppose when it comes to research and advisory, our costs typically are less than 0.5% of the construction costs, but they can save you millions of dollars later on, getting your designs right, getting them co-created by customers. It's often an area that operators don't spend enough time in, is discussing their designs and feedback on their floor plans, on their community facilities, on the different financial options. The ones that do mean that the consequence of that later on is that they have stronger sales rates, they have product that meets the market expectations. So how many times have we seen offerings where there's so many one-bedroom, smaller style product that doesn't meet the market expectations or doesn't meet people's expectations? So I think that's really, really critical. The other thing is really from a project sales and marketing performance, our business, and we've worked very hard on making sure that our financial offering is a very fair one. So it's a performance-based arrangement. We don't get paid if we don't settle. It's as simple as that. And that means that a lot of that risk is on our shoulders. But if we've done the right research and we've got the right team in play, we know that we have outsold our competitors. And we often sell at a premium. In one recent development, we're selling now at prices that are 20% more than what we did sell 18 months ago. So I think it's a testament of the skill of our sales and marketing team.
Talk a little bit about the other project that we've recently had up in Kellyville, where, as we would know, traditionally you would see prices 20 to 30% under the resi price. But on that particular project, we were able to achieve considerably higher prices than the residential market, or in comparison to house prices when we're actually selling apartments. Tell us a little bit about that.
This comes back down to this point about the value proposition and getting that value proposition right. So when people are downsizing out of their homes, the gap between the price of their homes to the apartments that they were selling was significant. So people were able to buy into the concept of an apartment that they could live and age in place and have the services brought into them. And the knowledge that this particular operator had the offering to move into aged care. It was all part of the one company offering that. In actual fact, it actually has a financial incentive if you move into that aged care. So as a whole, that offer was very compelling. We were able to sell those apartments on average with 25% higher than the median unit price. We were selling them between 9 to 980,000 per unit, as opposed to the median unit price, which is around 7 to 750,000. So that is just proof of the fact that if you get your proposition right, then the market will buy that. So I think it's really, really important. So we often do these myth-busting things, don't we, Ali, with our clients?
Absolutely we do. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self starting out?
Don't worry. It will be okay. Look, I now have 2 teenagers. So I look at my eldest, who's just turned 17 and just about to get his P's, and you think the world's right in front of him. And you do obviously worry for them, but yeah, they worry about so many different things. But look, don't worry, there's a glorious path for you.
I think we've come to know very, very well lately, haven't we?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the pandemic has allowed us to be, the word I heard was unhurried. We've always been in a hurry. So can we bottle that sense of unhurriedness, if that's a word?
You're right. I think sometimes we don't stop and smell the roses of the successes and the great things that have happened. But you're absolutely right. This has allowed us to slow down, regroup, and really focus on the things that are important, not only on the work front, but also for our families.
Absolutely.
All of us have made mistakes in the past. It's part of us growing. Can you share an example of a mistake that you've experienced and what you personally learned from it?
That's a really, really good question. And learning from mistakes is the important part of that question for me. In reflecting on this, I thought that not always surrounding myself with like-minded people that you can trust. Sometimes you need to go through that process to realise you can, but you need to trust your own instincts and reward the right behaviours and performance, and don't ever compromise on your values. Yeah, so I think that's coming to the point of being wise about the people that you surround yourself with.
So important. How have you adapted the business over the last 18 months, in particular since COVID?
Everyone's had some fabulous stories, of how they've done that. And I think it's really important to listen and hear of others and how they've done that. But what we've done is everyone's had to pivot to online. I mean, we're doing this interview on online, and it's given you great opportunities to do that. We've been able to implement that in our research and our sales appointments. But what's really, really important is it's taught us to amp up the quality interactions. I think we've benefited from that. All of us have. From a business point of view, that's been important. But also from a sales point of view, we've done online appointments with, some of these people that have never have found, some of our customers have found it hard to even work on mobile phone. And here we are engaging with them on a screen.
Zoom appointments.
Absolutely. Zoom appointments have been great. But we also then realised, well, what's really critical? And, our electronic direct mail and the work that we've done to engage with our database, getting open rates of like 70 or 80%. People are yearning for good quality content and from people that they can trust. So that's been important. We've ended up on our building customized CRM. That's really, really important. And we've done a lot of shop to look display furniture to showcase a little bit about what we can do and showcase our product, because if they can't come and visit it, we can show you it. So there have been some of the things that we've done. But I think one of the things that's really important is how we've galvanized our strengths as a team. We've probably realized what we're good at, and we've been galvanized by this adversity. So like I said, it hasn't been smooth sailing. We often have tough days. I mean, one of my sayings, and I know a lot of people use it, tough days don't last, but tough people do. And I've been told to take one day at a time by my team, which is true.
Well, I hope you're doing that. Well, it's been a great conversation with you so far, Dee. But what I'd love to do is finish this off by asking you a quick 10 questions to find out a little bit more about who exactly David Lo Russo is. So you up for the challenge?
I am.
Excellent. All right. So let's get this going. In 3 words, describe you.
Optimistic, persistent, and blessed.
What a lovely 3rd word. I love that. Prefer texting or talking? I think I know the answer to this, but let's see what you say.
Depends on the time of day. Talk all day, text at nights.
Interesting. And you do that. You do that.
I know.
Favourite weekend thing to do?
Good food and wine, long lunches with family and friends.
Nice. Any particular favourite restaurant?
Got a few booked in. Umeggio's, Sean's Panorama, Hugo's, Barrel Water Inn. They're all on the hit list come the time we get out of this lockdown.
Well, hopefully the 11th of October at the earliest. So fingers crossed. What's the one food you couldn't go without?
Too hard to answer, so I'm going to give you 3. Meat, bread, and Italian cannoli.
Well, you look unbelievably fit for those 3 as your top 3. Where do you want to retire?
I've talked to my wife about this. Near the ocean, near a good coffee shop, good deli shop, and friends and family in the neighbourhood.
Scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
I'm hopeless, or whatever that is, 1 or 10.
And I agree with that. What are you currently learning?
Grace and gratitude, really. Self-love. I think it's an interesting concept.
Book on your bedside table at the moment?
I love this book. Boy Swallows Universe. It's by Trent Dalton. It came out a few years ago. Yeah, cool book.
Quick summary of it, fiction, non-fiction?
It's non-fiction, but it's written in Brisbane suburbia. A really great style of writer. He was a Courier Mail reporter, and this is his first book and won a few awards.
Excellent. How do you take your coffee?
Strong and hot.
What is it, a macchiato?
Macchiato, yeah.
And I think I know the answer to this because you said it a little bit earlier, but quality of life or quantity of life?
Oh, of course. It's quality. La Dolce Vita, but plenty of it. Thank you very much.
Well, David, it's been fantastic having a chat to you today. So thank you so much for spending the time. If anyone does want to reach out to you personally or to the Marketability family, what's the best way of them doing that?
www.marketability.com.au, and you'll be able to track me down. I'm sure you'll find me on LinkedIn, ticking people's and appreciating people's comments. I don't post many, but you'll probably find me there too.
Excellent. Thanks again for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I just love being part of the Marketability family. So thank you.
Thank you for the honour, Ali. I'm glad you're doing these enlightening and uplifting conversations. Thank you.
Do you know what? It's been a real blessing just to have a chat to a couple of people already so far to find out some of the great work that they are doing. And it's nice to be featuring some people that those in the industry aren't really aware of at the moment. I think that's been really encouraging. but thoroughly enjoying the conversations and just getting to know more about our colleagues out there that are doing great things.
It says a lot about your generosity of spirit and your curious mind and your willingness to learn and to innovate. But more importantly, share really positive stories, because what we do is a really positive thing for our customers and for industry. So good on you.